Welcome to Good Evening World State, and here's your host.
Good evening. I'm Jack Minity, and welcome to a debate between Mr. Mustapha Mond and Mr. John Savage. Tonight's debate format will give each man the opportunity to express his feelings about the world state. We will go over topics such as literature, the Bakanavsky groups, God, happiness, and degradation. Let us begin with the topic of literature. But first, let me introduce our opponents. Please welcome Mr. John Savage. Please welcome Mr. Mustapha Mond.
Where is the Wendy's? Where did you send me? I can't find the Wendy's. Where did you send?
Mr. Mond, is there a reason why you support, read, and even use Shakespeare's works in your daily life, but you object to literature on all forms of social ground?
Well, Jack, yes, I do conceal the Shakespeare literature, and I do have these religious texts, but I do believe in a new form of religion, and I do believe that Ford is it's a more practical way of religion rather than the old-fashioned way, because we are a consumerism society, and it's just a better way of social stability.
So, Mr. Savage, after hearing Mr. Mond's points on literature, how do you feel about literature?
Well, I'm going to have to say I strongly disagree with Mr. Mond. Literature is such a powerful and unique thing that is such a big part of my life and has taught me all of my values. I feel like everyone amongst the world state should be a part of that and get to witness that feeling and learn those beliefs.
That's a very strong points, Mr. Savage.
Thank you. I feel very strongly about it.
Mr. Savage, it is well known that you believe the Bakanavsky groups are, as you say, horrible. While Mr. Mond claims these groups are very useful for society, is there a reason why you believe these groups are bad for society?
Well, I'm sure you're all aware that I'm from the Savage Reservation, and I was born from my mother. And going from a society like that to a corrupt society such as this society that I'm in now, it just doesn't seem right. It's dehumanizing people more than they were already dehumanized before. Like, children were not born from their mothers, and they were born from embryos, but now we're practically cloning human beings. It just doesn't feel right to me.
So, Mr. Mond, after hearing Mr. Savage's stance on your Bakanavsky groups, what is your response?
Well, I feel that Mr. Savage is incorrect, and the Bakanavsky groups allow for social stability, and it all comes back to social stability. You know, being allowed to have stability in our society with happiness, with religion, with all these things that just make the world go round. And without these Bakanavsky groups, it's just not going to work, honestly. So
That's very
it
compelling.
just all comes back to stability for me.
I feel it's Mr. Mond, can you please elaborate on why you believe Ford is more of a godlike figure than God himself?
Well, I wouldn't say that it's that I feel he's more of a godlike figure, but in relevancy to our society and how we run our world state, he's more of a logically a better fit for our society and how we run it in relation to, you know, our Bakanavsky groups. It's very similar to that. So I just feel like we praise him over the original God just because of our circumstances in our world state. And it just all comes back to stability for me.
So, Mr. Savage, now that Mr. Mond has elaborated on why he believes Ford is more of a godlike figure than God himself, do you have a rebuttal to that?
I do have a rebuttal. This kind of relates back to my point about the Bakanavsky groups. It just feels like when you praise Henry Ford, who is such a consumerist mind, I do understand that they want to feel that success within their society. But then again, this all comes back to their assembly line of making cars. They're comparing cars to human beings, and that just doesn't seem right. When you could be praising someone like God, who is so pure and who could teach this world so much. If they would just listen to the ideas of the real God and stop praising Henry Ford so much, then this would be a better, they would have better values and morals as a society.
Mr. John Savage, since you are from the Savage Reservation, you've come in as an outsider to the society Mr. Mond associates himself with. Do you believe that the people of Mr. Mond's society are actually happy, or is it a sense of artificial happiness?
No doubt there is a sense of artificial happiness in this society. It's honestly sad, really. These people rely on soma, things like soma, which is just a drug that makes them feel nothing but artificial happiness. It's all just fake. It's not true feelings. They have no true feelings of being heartbroken or having just any sort of negative feelings. And without that, you can never learn from it. There's no depth to these people's personalities. And also, they never feel true love. This is just all feels like a fake society. I know, to me, one of the most important things is true love. And it just seems like everyone is sleeping around and no one is truly feeling true feelings, and that's just sad to me, honestly.
Mr. Mustapha Mond, after hearing Mr. John Savage's points on your society's, as he says, quote-unquote, artificial happiness, do you believe that your society has real happiness or artificial happiness?
Well, I would like to say to John Savage that it's just not artificial happiness. When our society and the people of our society takes things like, say, soma, they feel this happiness and this rush and this feel of just contentness. Not even contentness, just overexcitement. And when they're in a crowd of people, it's all about stability for me. Honestly, it's all about stability. All comes back to stability. When they're in these occupations that they're made for, they feel happy. It's just, I don't understand how he can say that all of these things in our society is artificial when they clearly.
Mr. Mond, you didn't really address part of the thing that Mr. Savage said. He was saying, like, your society doesn't feel negative emotions. What's your response to that?
It's like, why do we need to feel negative things? Like, why? If we're always in a state of happiness, if we don't force our society to take soma, we don't force our society to sleep around, we don't enforce promiscuity, if that's what makes them feel happy and they can do these things without having those negative feelings and those negative experiences, why would you want that for your people? It all comes back to stability for me. All about stability. If they don't feel happiness, they're stable, we're a stable society, everything's great.
That'll wrap up the debate for today. Thank you, Mr. Mond, for joining us. It was a pleasure having you.
Where is the Wendy's? Where did you send me? Oh God, tell me, where did you send me? When I only had one nugget in me. My parents told me, do not go there. I only have one tiny chest hair. I'm going fast.